We express appreciation to those members of Congress and all those who are advocating courageous stance to attack this terrorist group and tremendous curtailed the insurgency in Nigeria before it spreads elsewhere. We note that some U.S. scholars have written openly to the Secretary of State advising against designating this group as FTO. Many of these scholars are known to be linked with a particular political hegemony in Nigeria. While scholars are free to associate with whomever they wish, it is unfortunate that they appear to have chosen the viewpoint that benefits, associates, and suppress all other viewpoints and data. We should therefore urge the United States to be very courageous about basing the foreign policy on such a one-sided and biased view. Also, we want to ensure that the views and perspective of the significant diaspora population here in the United States to be considered as well. There is the view that if the United States designate Boko Haram as an FTO, such will amount to internalizing the problem. Our response is that such a view is already overtaken by events, as the group has already threatened international peace. And the problems are no longer domestic or academic. For instance, last week, it was reported that Boko Haram killed a Cameroonian local government official. Also yesterday, BBC reported that the Chinese government has filed a diplomatic protest against killing a Chinese construction worker in the northeastern city of Maiduguri. The Nigerian government has given a confused response on the FTO issue due to its need to avoid embarrassment and affirm the sovereignty of Nigeria. While we Nigerian American Christians are the first to affirm the sovereignty of Nigeria, we recognize that Boko Haram is a part of the worldwide phenomenon of terrorism and its many aftermaths set in motion after September 11. We believe sincerely that the Nigerian government is no longer capable of itself alone to effectively check this group without some drastic international help, including designation of the group as an FTO by the US. The designation will send a serious signal to the political and financial backers of this group, who currently complete impunity not merely from the government of Nigeria, but also from the international community, including the United States. For instance, Boko Haram is sustained by the procurement of unbelievable amounts of heavy arms and weapons, clearly transported from country to country, and certainly funded by some fat pockets. It is in fact critical for a critical investigation into the likely backers of Boko Haram, both in Nigeria and outside. Only last week, it was reported that the Nigerian security outfit, Joint Task Force, JTF, announced that it has caught a Boko Haram commander in the house of national politician in Borno State. Before that, the Nigerian president himself had described the Boko Haram menace as a form of civil war, revealing that within government, there were Boko Haram supporters. Also, a serving Nigerian senator was once accused of links to one of the spokespersons of the deadly group. But we are concerned that all these disclosures don't lead to effective prosecution and justice. We are concerned that the investigations often hit a roadblock and we don't hear anything anymore. Also, a serving senior senator was once accused of link to the spokesperson of the serving group. We are concerned that the investigation often hit a roadblock and we don't hear anything anymore about what seems to be a high-level involvement on terrorism. If and when Boko Haram is designated as an FTO, all their top political backers will understand that the stakes are now higher and they will face a wide net of justice. This in turn will likely curtail them from funding the terrorists. Big names and political figures known to be supporting terrorism in any form should be made to face the music. The lives of innocent Nigerians depend on it. We are now calling on Americans to hold the State Department accountable to the current U.S. policy on the issue, which discounts the life of Nigerian Christians and is attempting to recast what is a terrorism problem as an economic one. Thousands of Nigerian Americans will normally travel to Nigeria around Christmas, meaning that U.S. airlines will be flying between both countries. We are concerned about a possible repeat of the Christmas Day church bombing in Nigeria by Boko Haram last year. Up till this weekend, Boko Haram was still active, causing death and mayhem in Politism, a northern town in Nigeria. It is our hope that if we act now with a sense of urgency, we can ensure that Secretary Clinton addresses this issue frontally before she leaves office. As Nigerian Americans, we are committed to working with all people of goodwill and lovers of justice who see the urgency of the situation. We pray we are successful to the end this alarming threat before it consumes the land of our birth and moves to strike our new homeland as well. Thank you for your attention. We'll now take some questions. I have here the Executive Director, Laolu Akande, himself a journalist of a New York-based foreign correspondent, and our representative, Emmanuel Ogebe, a passionate religious freedom advocate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for that very passionate delivery. Like you said, we will now take your questions. Yes, sir. Please, can you just introduce yourself so that we know the agency you represent?
Steve Coleman with Associated Press.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
It seems like many of the reports we hear about the violence in Nigeria refers to, while Boko Haram is mentioned, much of the violence is referred to as sectarian, which seems to suggest that Christians are killed, but then there's retaliation and Muslims are killed. Are you presenting just a one-sided view?
Well, okay. I'll take that question, and then our DC representative is also going to say something about it. We're not presenting a one-sided view. The important fact, which is beyond any kind of reproach here, is that, as the chairman said in his speech, Christians are the ones that are mainly being targeted, and the facts speak clearly for themselves. Any impression to suggest that Christians are aggressors in this matter is completely false, and we challenge those who make those claims to come and present the counter facts. But I want you to also hear our DC representative, who is active in this matter, both in Nigeria and here.
And your name, sir?
Yes, Emmanuel Ogebe.
Yes, good morning. I just have a quick introductory remark to make before I respond to that question. On Christmas Day, Christians in Nigeria mark the religious holiday by dressing up nicely and going to church. On Christmas Day, Boko Haram marks the religious holiday by going and bombing the church. This is precisely what happened to my cousin's church on December 25th, 2011. And that was the second consecutive Christmas that this has happened. But if you read the State Department's International Religious Freedom Report on Nigeria 2011, you will not see this information there. Why can you do a Google search and find out about this attack that occurred on a church in Jos, and yet the U.S. Embassy did not list this attack in their report, in a city which has the largest American population in northern Nigeria. In April 2011, over 700 churches were attacked in 12 northern states in 48 hours. It was arguably the worst attack on Christendom in contemporary world history. Hundreds of Christians were pulled from their cars and taxis and were murdered. My cousin took 6 bullets, but the U.S. State Department's International Religious Freedom Report did not record this incident. And this is why this press conference is very important, because there is a systematic pattern of underreporting the situation in Nigeria. I know an American journalist who went to Nigeria, visited 5 states, came back and told me, I cannot believe how underreported this situation is. Just to give you an illustration, we mentioned the January 20th incident where close to 200 people were killed in one day. That was the single deadliest day in the world from any conflict, including Sudan, Afghanistan, Iraq. And it wasn't until last month that Syria had the same body count as that January 20th attack from one single day. Now, going to your question regarding the label sectarian violence, that is a semantic that has been employed by some elements of the media who don't want to deal with the fact that this has been a pre-genocide. The statistics are very, very frightening. I will point out, and I have challenged the State Department on this and anyone, that no single mosque has been bombed. And I will say that if a cartoon could lead to the kinds of responses we've seen in the Islamic world, then if a Christian bombed one church in Nigeria, one mosque, you would not hear the last of it. That speaks for itself. 2 weeks ago at CSIS, I heard a Muslim from Nigeria speaking, and he said, there's media bias, that a Christian was arrested trying to blow up a church and no one reported it. And I wanted to go up to him and say, well, thank you. I'm glad you did not say a Christian tried to blow up a mosque. At least you were kind enough, even in your fabrication, to say that they tried to blow up a church. And it turns out apparently they failed. So this has been a distortion. And I did point out to him then, and I repeat now, that of the over 24 attacks on churches that have occurred this year, according to data provided by Jubilee Campaign, there have only been 2 incidents near mosques. 2 incidents, I repeat, near mosques. Because Boko Haram has issued a press statement, saying we don't attack mosques. We would never attack a mosque. And I noticed that the State Department has kindly corrected its statements on the conflict. In the past, they used to say Boko Haram is attacking churches and mosques. But after the Boko Haram responded, they've edited their comments, and they now say that Boko Haram is attacking churches and other civilian entities. So again, even the mosques that were attacked, from the data, were attacked by Muslims. The Muslims have not said that it was Christians that attacked the mosques. So it's very difficult to look at churches being blown up and say that this is tit for tat. The Christians, one side is doing the killing and one side is doing the dying.
Thank you. So very clearly, we repeat that if anybody has contrary evidence regarding facts, we challenge them to bring it to the fore.